Do you even realize how lucky you are to be alive right now, to exist at the same time as Concord? You are alive at a time that people will talk about for centuries to come. You get to witness the biggest failure in gaming. Not only the biggest failure in gaming, but undoubtedly one of the biggest failures in all of entertainment. PlayStation just announced that they're already shutting down Concord in 3 days from now. That's the doomsday for all 9 people still inhabiting that barren wasteland. The game didn't even survive 2 full weeks. I probably could have lasted longer on a deserted island with only fucking coconuts to satiate me. This game just barely squeaked over a week of life. And life is a term I'm using very loosely because this game was never alive to begin with. It was dead on arrival. 660 all-time peak, and even right now with this news that it's going to be shutting down, not even those 660 people bothered to flock to it to get like one last ride in there, one little ooh-rah before it sails off into the sunset. I imagine most of those players probably already refunded the game because it was a $40 game that was a watered-down, worse version of all of its free counterparts that it was trying to suckle from the teats of. It was an embarrassing flop that everyone with eyes saw coming from a mile away, except for Sony, it seems. 8 years in development, millions upon millions of dollars in the shitter here, only for the game to exist for barely over a week. A loaf of bread lasts longer than Concord did, and they're pulling the plug on it already. It should have never even released in the first place. This was a complete waste of 8 years of time and money. It is rough. This is a harder flop than my cock under your mother's chin. I do not, and I said this last time, I do not know who this game was ever made for. Because the audience it tries to appeal to was never going to switch to this game because it's already $40, you've already lost that battle. Because all of the other games in that genre are free, and better. So it was a surprise to no one that when this game dropped, its player count sucked shit through a crazy straw. Nobody was asking for this. There wasn't a demand for it. There was no one lining up to purchase this. This was something nobody wanted, like a lump of coal for Christmas. It really is not a shocker that this game never breached 700 players. Its peak was 660. That is pathetic. That is laughable. If you go into like Steam dumpster diving, you can just throw a fucking dart at your computer monitor and whatever game it lands on that you've never heard of, like fucking Glorbus's Hemorrhoid Adventure, that probably had more than 660 players at some point. It is hard to find a game that had this little hype around it. Like, playing Concord was like going into an empty Burger King. This whole thing was just sad. And now they're already pulling the plug on it less than 2 weeks after it's been out. I also love the way they start their statement, Concord fans, as if any of those exist. You'd be more likely to find aliens than Concord fans. We've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch of Concord on PlayStation 5 and PC and want to thank everyone who has joined the journey aboard the North Star. You could have just sent all of them a DM. Like, there's not many of them. You could have easily reached them directly. Your support and the passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. I don't know where that community is, I'm going to be honest. The only passion I see in regards to Concord is people passionately shitting on it and laughing at it. Because it is a spectacle how badly this game flopped. However, while the many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game and our initial launch didn't land the way we'd intended. Therefore, at this time, we have decided to take the game offline beginning September 6, 2024, and explore options including those that will better reach our players. While we determine the best path ahead, Concord sales will cease immediately, and we'll begin to offer a full refund for all gamers who have purchased the game for PS5 or PC. If you purchase the game for PS5 from the PlayStation Store or PlayStation Direct, a refund will be issued back to your original payment method. It is exceptionally rare to see something fail to this degree. Millions upon millions of dollars invested in this project over the course of 8 years with a big team of people working on it, and they get like 30 grand in sales from PC. Relative to what they spent on this project, that $30,000 return is incomprehensibly tiny. They released a wet fart that will be talked about in economics courses, I think, for eons to come. To put that in perspective, that $30,000 they made on PC sales for Concord most likely don't even cover a year's worth of electricity bills for the office building that their employees work out of. I decided to look at a couple of numbers out of curiosity. So Firewalk has roughly 150 employees based on what I can find, and I can't find any information on the building they work out of, but let's just assume that they're working out of a mid-sized office building that's usually used for about 100 employees, and according to these numbers here, a business will spend about $1.44 per square foot on electricity and 30 cents per square foot on natural gas. So an annual cost for a mid-sized office building of 20,000 square feet, which is used for about 100 employees, will come out to $34.8K. This was developed for 8 years, and what they made on PC doesn't even cover 1 year's worth of just electricity and energy costs. Pfft. What a fucking historic blunder. Now, I imagine a lot of the developers at Firewalk work remote, but even still, I imagine they have some kind of headquarters somewhere, and that building would not have even been able to keep the lights on with the $30,000 that this game made. So it never even came close to breaking a profit. It wasn't even in the same universe as the word profit. I can't think of anything else that has ever flopped this hard. This is just crazy. It's already getting the plug pulled after just 10 days. So, yeah, I am beyond surprised because I thought they'd at least ride this as much as they could, like trying to update the game, like desperately trying to get some players to buy into it. Like, I thought this would go at least 6 months, like a full season or something of the game, but it didn't even make it like a full 2 weeks. It blows my mind. Like, I'm not surprised by how poorly it performed. I am surprised it performed this poorly because even like, no matter how bad a AAA game is, people will mindlessly buy it. Except when it comes to Concord. That is how little interest there was in a game like this. So, that's going to be a big lesson for the gaming industry, I think. Or at least it should be. It probably won't. They'll probably make like a Concord 2 in a year or so, because they most likely haven't learned anything valuable from this. But speaking of value, if you want something actually valuable, pick up Godslap. Issue 6 just dropped. That's right, we're moving into the new arc of Godslap, and issue 6 is out right now. Pick up a copy at badegg.co, there's a link in the description. And also, if you're thirsty, Goof Juice is always available, baby. Gamersubs.gg/moist. Link also in the description. Best flavor of any beverage ever. You can sip on some Goof Juice while reading your Godslap and looking as Concord gets taken off of life support. Now, what I do think should happen as a result of this public embarrassment that was Concord, the people that came up with the idea of making a hero shooter that's just the most derivative, generic, formulaic garbage, they are the ones that need to be held responsible the most. Those are the ones that should be fired. But we've seen time and time again that is never the case. When you reach a upper echelon position in an industry, you can only fail upwards. No matter how much money you lose, no matter how many times you stumble, fall, and cost the company greatly, you are always safe and only ever fail positively. Everyone underneath you gets punished. Like we saw this with John Risitiello at Unity. We just actually saw it with Suicide Squad. I just read the other day about how they're laying off a ton of like QA testers, even though it's not like the QA testers were responsible for Suicide Squad being a dog shit game. The people that made it a live service game and all of the other terrible ideas, it's their fault, not the QA testers that were just making sure the game fucking functioned, yet they're the ones that are being punished. They're the ones that are getting spanked for it. It makes no sense. So in Concord's case, it shouldn't be just like the people that coded the game, like they had a project they were assigned to work on, they did their job. The game runs, like the game is functional, it's a serviceable game, it's just not a good game, and it's a game nobody wanted. That is the problem of the people that brainstormed this, greenlight this, and then made the team work on it. So whoever came up with those ideas and pushed all this forward, those are the ones that are responsible for the tragedy that is Concord. It should have never existed in the first place. But yeah, anyway, RIP to Concord. That's about it. See ya.